Okay.
הקדוש, בוקר אור, מסכת כתובות, דף ק"ח עמוד א', 108 we're going to start with Zayin Amud Bet, right? Right, we're going to start with Zayin Amud Bet, which is the Mishnah 107b, towards the bottom, four lines up from the bottom, which is the Mishnah. Okay, so basically the Mishnah says, Mi she'alach lemdinat hayam, somebody that went to Medinat hayam. Yeah, he went to the diaspora. Somebody comes and he starts giving parnasah to the guy's wife. Yeah. So Hanan says, he lost his money. Right? Why? When the husband comes back, he doesn't have to pay her. Because he could have said, I didn't tell you right now to lend me and I'm going to pay you back. So therefore, who asked you to do it? You went, you did it on your own accord. Yeah, you did me a favor. I don't have to pay you back. However, though, they argued, the Bnei Kohanim Gedolim, they argued on Hanan and they said, Yishava, Kama Otzi, Vito. Swear. How much did you use? How much did you pay? Right? And then what happens? You take it. Amar Bido Samen Kinos Kedivrehem, says Bido Samen Kinos, like the words of Bnei Kohanim Gedolim. Amar Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, says Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Yafeh Amar Hanan. Hanan, he said very, very well. Right? Why? Because what he did was he put his money on the Keren Hatzvi. Keren Hatzvi is a place where it's mizuman lefsed, meaning it's bound to lose. Why? Because the tzvi, he runs a lot. So if you put something right now on the back of the tzvi, and the tzvi runs, tzvi is a deer, yeah, and it runs. So what happens? It's going to fall. It's going to break. So kilu, you put your money there. So again, according to, so one more time, you had the first shita, which was Hanan. Hanan says you lost your money completely. Bnei Kohanim Gedolim come and they say you swear how much you spent, and then you take it from the husband. Bido Samen Kohanim comes and he says, like Bnei Kohanim Gedolim, right? And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai comes and he says, no, like Hanan, right? So basically you have 2 against 2. Hanan and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and Bnei Kohanim Gedolim, and Bido Samen Kohanim. Okay, 2 against 2. Says the Gemara, Tzanan Hata, we learned over there in the Mishnah Nedarim, Hamudarana Mechavero, if you made a neder from your friend that you're not allowed to benefit from your friend. Now we're on Kufchet Amud Aleph. It's a very long daf, so please put on your seatbelts. Shokel lo et shiklo. So you're allowed to come and you're allowed to weigh, right, the machatzita shekel. Okay, you're allowed to weigh the machatzita shekel. So he comes and he says, Uporea et chovo, and you're going to pay back your debt. Okay, umachzir lo avedato, and you're allowed also to give him back his avedah. Uminkom shenotlim schar. Now, if they get money for doing Hashavat Avedah, which means that there's something incredible. Usually, if you made a neder that you're not allowed to benefit from the guy, you cannot benefit from the guy. But since here, the halacha, you're allowed to do the medidah of the shkalim for machatzita shekel. Because since everybody's obligated to do it every single year for korbanot tzibur, right? It's coming to teach you that you're allowed to do it. The Gemara is going to say, why is that not considered hana? At the end of the day, you're benefiting. So why are you allowed all of a sudden to benefit that the guy's measuring your shekel, right, for the machatzita shekel? Or you're allowed to pay off his debts. Number 3, you're allowed to give back his lost object. Now, what happens if you get paid for giving back a lost object? Meaning in certain places, they would actually pay to get back lost objects. Like, why? Yeah? He comes and he says, why? Exactly. The cash rewards. Huh? Yeah. So therefore he comes and he says, so says the Gemara, I understand the first case, you're doing a mitzvah. So maybe you're going to say mitzvah notninu, so the meaning you're not really benefiting. Okay, so it makes sense. You know, the first one makes sense. The Tanna, but we learned to the Braita, right? The Tznan, it should be the Tanya. Let me see what it says over here. Yeah, it should be the Tanya. That's what Tosot Metzia says. The Tanya, Tormin al ha'avud v'al ha'gavui ve'la atid ligavot. What does that mean? The Gizbar of the Hekdesh, remember the Gizbar of the Hekdesh. The Hekdesh is a secretary, right? The treasurer. And the treasurer, he's in charge of certain things. So the Gizbar of the Hekdesh, he's going to be Turem from the Trumat al-Lishka al ha'avud, which means, imagine somebody right now comes and he sends his machatzita shekel in the mail, it gets lost in the mail. So what happens? He's going to come and that means even so, they're going to be mezakelo achelek in the shkalim. So he's going to come and he's going to give it, even though at the end of the day they didn't receive it. Right now, again, we're not talking about tricksters that keilu, they send, you know how it is. Yeah, I sent it in the mail. right? And then you never get it. No. We're talking about the bemet. They sent it in the mail, right? But bemet, it was lost. Vala gavui, or on the shekel, which was already collected, but it didn't get to the Bet HaMikdash. Meaning, remember that they already used to start sending their shkalim. Right? They used to put out the tables already. What? They used to send it to the Bet HaMikdash. Yeah, right? The UPS, they had UPS in the olden days also. So, right? It wasn't called UPS. It was probably called, I don't know. But it was, yeah, but it was, they had all these things. UPS, DHL, all these companies. Yeah, they had it. So what happens is, Vala Gavui, right? The Al Atil Legavot, or something which is going to come, which means like this. Let's say, for example, I already sent it to Yerushalayim, but it didn't get there yet. It's still considered that I gave it. It was the fact that I already sent it off. It's already, and by the way, that's what happens. Many times people, they come, there's a deadline. But if they have on the stamp that I already sent it on time, meaning was if it was delayed in the mail or that, I'm sorry. Yeah, why? Because it's there. So the same thing. And you're allowed to do achzarat aveda, right? Why are you allowed to be machzir avodato? Mitzvah kavi. So basically this, the Gemara is going to come and start analyzing and say, one second. I understand that you could come and you could be shokel, right? His shekel, you're doing a mitzvah. I understand machzir avodato, it's a mitzvah. Mitzvah kavi. Poreh lo cholo to pay off his debts. Hakam ishtar shalei. He comes and he says, you're making him a gain. If somebody made a neder, they're not going to have, how could they pay off your debts? Paying off your debt, you're benefiting. What's going on? So Hoshaya says, who is this? Hanan. This is Hanan. Why? But he says, he bet Ma'odaf. Meaning, when you came and you paid off his debts, what did you just do? You threw your money in the garbage because he doesn't have to pay you back. Just like our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says that if you came and you gave, you're listening? Yeah?
To the lady. I have a question.
Yeah,
one second. Directly to the lady?
Right? If you right now came, right, and you gave it to her, it doesn't matter whether it was directly or not directly.
I want to see if it's possible. Because if yes, it's a problem.
It doesn't matter. So basically, just like Hanan came and he said that he went and he lost all the money by giving it to the woman because the guy came and he started supporting a wife that nobody told him to support. So therefore, the same thing, this guy came, he paid off a debt, he lost all his money. Right? Rava comes and he says, Afilu Temen Rabbanan, even if you want to say it's going to be Shitat Rabbanan, right? Achav Ma'askina, what are we dealing with? Shelava al menat shelo lifroa. You lent out the money al menat that he shouldn't be obligated to pay back until he wants. Which means since he could push it off as much as he can, so it comes out that the porea, he didn't give anything. Meaning like this. Imagine right now, I come in and lend you money. I tell you, you know what? Pay me back whenever you want. Somebody comes, Ronen comes out and he pays me back. Yeah, Ronen comes and he pays me back. Yeah? So he comes and pays me back. Yeah? So he pays me back. Yeah, okay, fine. Did he really do anything? Not really. Why? Because I can pay you back whenever you want. Sorry, you could pay me back. I don't remember, whatever it is. I mean, he said, since you could pay back whatever you want, he didn't do anything. Anyway, like I have another 20 years, I could pay back in 50 years. I can pay whatever you want. So you didn't really do much in the fact that you pay back. It's not like I'm not going to pay back. I'm still going to pay back. But I had no deadline. So now you went, you pay back today. Chazakuru. You really do anything? So it says the Gemara, I understand Rava doesn't want to say like Hoshia because the Mukim like Rabbanan, but he wants to do like Rabbanan and not like Hanan. But Rav Hoshia might tell but why doesn't Rav Hoshia say like Rava? So answers the Gemara, Malech Rav Hoshia, Nehidana letle, even though there's no Hana'ah, right? Kufchet Amud Bet, right? 108b, Kisufa miletle, but there's no Busha. What does that mean? Right? Because at the end of the day, now your debt is paid back. So for even though you could have paid back whatever you want, every time you look at him, you still remember you owe money. So you're a little bit embarrassed. So now that the guy paid you back for you, so even though you are going to pay back, and maybe you're going to pay back in 10 years, but right now you gained embarrassment. So so the same thing, you have a certain type of ana'ah in the fact of the ana'ah that you paid him back. Okay?
There is another.
That's what we're saying. There's the Mishnah, Admon Omer Shiva. Admon comes and he says 7 different halachot. Okay? 7 horaot. Number 1. Right? Somebody passes away and he leaves boys and girls. If there's a lot of properties, except for the boys, they get Yerusha, and the girls, they get Parnasa, they get food. If there's very few properties, Habanot Yazunu, so then the Banot are going to get the Parnasa, and the Banim are going to go and they're going to look for the Ptachim, they're going to look for Tzedakah. Adman comes and he says, he says, I don't understand, because I'm a male, I'm going to lose out. I see the Admon. What does that mean? He comes and he says, what? Because he's a boy, he has to lose out and start looking around. He says, my comment, what is he talking about? So he comes and he says, Rabbi comes and he says, right, as follows, he comes and he says like this, since I'm a Zachar, and therefore I'm going to learn Torah. So if Sati, I lost out. Rabbi comes and he says, says what? Only if you learn Torah, you get Yerusha. If you don't learn Torah, you don't get Yerusha. Rabbi says, since I'm a male, so since I'm a male and therefore I could inherit in the Nechasim Rubim, I lost in the Nechasim Utim? Obviously not. So then why? Okay, where are the Mishnah? Mishnah. Now the second Mishnah on the page. Hatoen et chavero kadeh shemen. Somebody that's asking from his friend kadeh shemen. What does that mean? He comes and he says, I've got 10 barrels of shemen or whatever it is of shemen in your hands. Ve'oda bekankanim. But he says, no, they're not. Let's say, for example, barrels, but rather they're kankanim rekim, meaning they're without shemen. Right? I come and I say, listen, you have 10 jugs of oil for me. He says, no, you have 10 jugs, no oil. Yeah? Admon Omer Amnon says, once he's modeh b'miktzat, yishava. You have to swear. Chachamim say, Chachamim come and say, en hoda'at miktzat mimina tana. It's not the same hoda b'miktzat. So therefore, since it's not the hoda, remember, what is hoda miktzat? I come and I say, listen, you owe me $200. I said, no, I owe you 100. Yeah, you are modeh. But rega, you were modeh b'miktzat tana, and part of it, you have to swear. If you swear that it was only 100, fine, you swear, you give me 100. If, right, you do not swear, so you have to pay the full 200. Here in this case, machloket is, here it's really the same thing. I told you 10 jugs of oil, you tell me 10 jugs. So according to Admon, it's hoda b'miktzat. According to Chachamim, it's not hoda b'miktzat. When it says Oziel, I see the words of Admon. Ma'amina. We learn from here. L'Rabbanan, according to the Rabbanan, that they argue on Admon. Ta'ano chitinu seorin v'oda b'seorin patur. If I come and I tell you, listen, I lent you, or whether it's chitinu seorin, wheat and barley. Now you only come and you tell me it's barley, right? Or you only tell me it's a wheat, or whichever one it is, right? Patur, you're going to be patur. So lemata v'tiyuvta d'Rav Nachman Meshul. So this is a tiyuvta against Rav Nachman Meshul. Rav Nachman Meshul, ta'anu chitinu seorin v'oda lo be'chamen chayav. You're going to be a chayav ha'shavua. So answers the Gemara, Rav Yinam Rav b'to'ano midah. Here he told him kadeh shemen. So it's not just stam kadim ubahem shemen, because then, so it's kadeh shemen. What does that mean? So he comes and he says that since he was tovea the shemen by itself, and since he was only modelu and the kankanim by himself, it's not the same thing. Meaning, I didn't tell you about the kankanim, about the jugs. I only told you about the oil, and you only answered me about the jugs, not the oil. So therefore, it's not. It's two different things. You say it wasn't the exact same thing. So says the Gemara. 1 second. If that's the case, what's the reasoning about Admon? Yeah, what's the reasoning about Admon? So Rabbi says, if according to everybody, if he's going to say that you have 10 jugs of oil in your bowl, shemen katayim lekankanim, that he's only asking for the shemen, not the kankanim. But I've got 10 jugs full by you. Shemen lekankanim katayim. So then it's only going to be shemen kankanim. He plige. So when is the machloket? When he said asara kadeh shemen yishritzecha, Admon comes and he says yesh lashon hazeh lashon kankanim. That means when he said asara kadeh shemen yishritzecha, it's not exactly the kankanim. Rabbanan Savri, but the rabbis hold, right? So basically, what are we doing? We're saying that if a person comes and he says asara kadeh shemen, so therefore, they're going to say, Admon says that you have a lashon of kankanim there. There's no kankanim there. Because if you just said, only if you say maleh asara kadeshemen, but if you didn't say maleh asara kadeshemen, you just said asara kadeshemen, you only talking about maybe the shemen, not the kankanim. Ela ta'ama, but the reasoning is the end b'lashon hazeh shel kankanim. Yesh b'lashon hazeh kankanim. But if there was a kankanim, you're going to be chayav. So lema tabi tiyuv to the b'chiyah barabba. There's a refutation against the b'chiyah barabba. The Amar of b'chiyah barabba says the b'chiyah barabba. If I came and I tell you, you owe me chitim v'seorim, and then the other one comes and he says, no, I only owe you one of them. Doesn't matter which one. You're going to be patur from swearing. And so the Gemara, Amar Rishimi Barashi says, Rishimi Barashi, Naasa kimish tanor rimon beklipato. That's like the shemen v'kadim is one thing. So if it's like a rimon and the klipa is one thing. Meaning, imagine I come and I tell you, I've got a rimon by you. You come and you only give me the seeds. So, I've got a rimon, which means that it has the klipa is included. So the same thing. That means basically the shemen and the kadim is one thing, just like the rimon and the klipa is one thing. So Matki for Ravina comes and asks the following question: Rimon lo klipato lo mintar. Right? He comes and he says rimon without the klipa is not going to be watched over. Meaning you cannot get a rimon without the klipa. You need the klipa. The klipa is the shomer. It's a protection. So he says shemen mintar, but the oil you could get it without the kankanim. You can put the oil in anything. You understand? It doesn't have to be dafka the kankanim. So don't compare kankanim in the shemen to the klipa.
In the rimon,
right? To the rimon and the klipa. Yeah. So it says Gemara, what we're dealing with, the Elmaleh, he tells him, I've got 10 kadesh shemen by you. The other one says shemen. No, you do what are you talking about? You never had any shemen by me. Kankanim nami. And also even the kankanim. Hamsha itlach, the hamsa, yeah, the hamsha letlach. You only have 5, not 10. So Mod says, Yesh v'lashon zeh lashon kankanim, you do have a lashon, and umigul b'kabishtava kankanim, shabbat shemen. So therefore it's amigul. Just like you're going to be in shabbat kankanim, you throw it over. You remember this was called gilgul shavua. You throw it over. That means anyway you have to make a shavua for the kankanim because you had only admitted to 5 out of 10, but you were admitting to the kankanim. So ever since anyway you have to make a nevedar on kankanim, so you're going to also make it on the shemen, right? Alidei gilgul. The Rabbanan Savri, but the rabbis hold even the Shon Zeh, the shemen, the Shon kankanim, right? Masechet lo dalo, Masechet lo tano. So therefore, since you only asked for the oil, and he rejected the oil, and he was the one that was admitting in the jugs, and you didn't ask for the jugs. So what you told him, he didn't admit at all. And what you didn't tell him, he did admit. So he doesn't have to do shavua at all.
Yeah, we believe him.
Yeah, but
like
he
the
doesn't have to do
issue
shavua.
עם הכתובה,